All right, we're going to explore some scientific facts that are so wild, they sound like they're straight out of a movie. But here's the crazy part. They're 100% real. These are truths that are going to totally challenge how you see, well, everything. So, if you're ready to have your view of reality completely rewired, let's just dive right in. We're about to uncover some of the hidden, unbelievable truths that are happening all around us all the time. Okay, let's kick things off with something we all see pretty much every single day: clouds. You know, they look so simple, so harmless, but as we're about to find out, even the most familiar sights can hide some absolutely incredible secrets. So just look up for a second, or picture it in your mind. One of those big, puffy white cumulus clouds, just drifting across the sky. They look like they're lighter than air, right? Like big cotton balls. But what if I asked you, how much does that cloud actually weigh? A few pounds? Maybe? A few hundred? Well, get ready for this, because the real answer is absolutely staggering. The average cumulus cloud weighs around 1.1 million pounds. Yeah, you heard me correctly. That fluffy-looking thing floating peacefully in the sky has over 1 million pounds of water hanging right over your head. And to put that number into perspective, that's heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747. It's more than 100 adult elephants combined. So the big question is, how on earth does all that weight stay up there? Well, the secret is density. See, the weight isn't in one giant block. It's spread out across billions and billions of tiny water droplets. They're so small and so far apart that the rising air currents from below can easily keep them afloat. It's this incredible balancing act happening up there. Wild, isn't it? So, the world we can see is already full of surprises. But things get even stranger when we start looking at the invisible world, these powerful, unseen forces that are, and I mean this literally, keeping us all alive. All right, if I asked you, what are the lungs of our planet, what would you say? Most of us would probably say the Amazon rainforest, right? But that's not the whole picture, not even close. As you can see here, scientists estimate the majority of our oxygen actually comes from the ocean. And the real hero of the story? A tiny organism called Prochlorococcus. It's responsible for about 20% of the world's oxygen all by itself. Just let that sink in for a second. 1 out of every 5 breaths you take is thanks to an organism you can't even see. This tiny little powerhouse is the most abundant photosynthesizing organism on the entire planet, and we basically owe our existence to it. And the ocean isn't the only place teeming with this kind of unseen life. Let's look down, right under our feet. We tend to think of soil as just, dirt, but it's actually one of the most vibrant ecosystems on Earth. A single teaspoon of healthy soil holds a bustling metropolis of billions of bacteria, fungi, and other critters, more living things than there are people on the planet. And they're all working 24/7 to make a pretty much all life on land possible. All right, so we've looked up at the sky and down at the ground. Now let's turn that lens inward. It's time to explore the surprising and frankly kind of weird biological truths that are coded directly into our own human DNA. So here's a fascinating genetic tidbit for you. Men are way, way more likely to be colorblind than women. I mean, just look at how dramatic this difference is. For men, it's roughly 1 in 12, but for women, it's only about 1 in 200. That means men are something like 17 times more likely to be affected. So why the huge gap? It all comes down to our chromosomes. The genes responsible for seeing color, they're on the X chromosome. Now, since women have 2 X chromosomes, if one has a faulty gene, the healthy one can usually step in and cover for it. It's like having a backup copy. But men only have 1 X chromosome, so if that single X is carrying the gene for colorblindness, well, there's no backup plan. Okay, let's go a little further down this genetic rabbit hole with a question that just sounds, well, absurd. Do humans have the potential to be venomous? The shocking answer is, yeah, kinda. Now, to understand this, we have to talk about something called latent ability. It's a cool concept. Basically, it means the genetic toolkit for a certain trait already exists inside us, but evolution just hasn't, switched it on yet. And this is a perfect example of how that works. Research has shown that humans actually have the same foundational genes that venomous animals use to produce venom. It turns out our salivary glands and their venom glands share a common ancestral link. So don't worry, you're not going to suddenly develop a venomous bite anytime soon. But that potential, it's lying dormant inside all of us. Evolution just hasn't found a reason to flip that switch. Yet. Okay, so from the strangeness inside our own bodies, let's make a big jump over to the fundamental rules of the universe itself, because this is where reality starts getting really, truly weird. Get ready for this one. It's called the Mpemba effect, and it's a proven real-world phenomenon where hot water can actually freeze faster than cold water. I know, right? It sounds like it completely breaks the laws of physics, but it's totally real. Scientists are still debating the exact reason why, but the leading theories have to do with stuff like faster evaporation rates in the hot water or different levels of dissolved gases. It's a perfect reminder that our common sense just doesn't always apply when it comes to the universe. All right, for our final jaw-dropping fact, let's leave Earth behind entirely and travel way out into the solar system. Because as strange as things are down here, they get exponentially weirder once you get out into the cosmos. We're heading out to the gas giants, these massive worlds like Neptune and Uranus, where the conditions are just beyond anything we can imagine. Why? Because on these planets, it rains solid diamonds. And no, that is not a metaphor. The immense pressure and insane temperatures literally squeeze carbon atoms together into diamonds, which then just fall through the atmosphere like hailstones. And the scale of this is just mind-boggling. On Saturn alone, scientists estimate that over 2 million pounds of diamonds are formed and rained down through its atmosphere every single year. Can you even picture that? A constant storm of precious gems? So let's think about this. We've gone from clouds heavier than jumbo jets, to invisible organisms giving us every fifth breath, to the dormant venom potential in our own DNA, and planets where it literally rains diamonds. What does all this show us? I think it shows that reality is layered. The world we see on the surface, that's just the beginning of a much, much stranger and more wonderful story. You know, every single one of these facts was a complete mystery at one point, and it just leaves you with this final amazing thought. What other unbelievable truths about our universe are still out there, just waiting for us to discover them?